What's up there, people? I'm here for a little bit of a late night vid. Today is Thursday, so today will be the debut of Thursday night movie reviews. I think that's what I'm going to call it. Every Thursday, I will review a movie or a series. Sometimes I'll review a whole series. So, next week, for the next Thursday night reviews, the next 2 weeks I'm going to review all the Batmans, all the Superman movies. Do all that before BVS comes out. But today's video, I'm going to review not all the Terminator films. I did review the newest one. I'm going to give my quick thoughts on Genesis right now. I like Genesis. I know some people will say, like, oh, it's this and it's that. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. But, okay. I'll kind of wanted to get that one out there. So I'm just going to review the other four. Sponsored by Arizona. Okay. Our first one, the first Terminator movie came out in 1984. It was, Terminator was an awesome movie. I honestly think Terminator, the first movie, was about basic story of a machine going back in time, coming back from time. The movie basically starts off with the first one directed by cult classic director James Cameron. Well, I think he also directed Aliens 2 years later. You know, first one is iconic. The first one definitely, it was more of a, like, it had that horror feeling to it, like the first Alien did, you know, because it's in some scenes felt like a horror movie, like the way it was, because it was science fiction, but it was much more horror. The way they look at the first Alien movie. The first Alien movie was done in the style of a horror movie, but it's still a science fiction movie. But it was done in the style of a horror movie. When you look at the sequel, it was much more science fiction. It's also here too. You know, movies about starts off in the future, robots, machines take over. And these machines called Terminators, which are metal exoskeletons, take over, and the humans are trying to resist, called the Resistance, led by a young warrior named John Connor, who's the hope for mankind. So the machines think, go back in time to before he was born, and then try to kill the mother, Sarah Connor. So that's what happens. They send in the Terminator, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Basically, he has to hunt down and kill Sarah Connor. Basically, really, that's how the movie starts off. He gets his clothes, he looks for Sarah Connor, and then Sarah Connor is a waitress, but the Resistance sends a warrior named, I have not watched Terminator in a while, guys, sorry. Kyle Reese, played by Michael Biehn. He was also he was in Aliens also, so he did another Cameron film, but he was also, Kyle Reese, who was a soldier. He's sent back in time to go protect Sarah Connor. And then basically he gets her, and then they fall in love and end up having sex. And he's John Connor's father. But throughout the movie, you see the Terminator come and try to attack Sarah Connor, first in like a bar, then at the police station, this is where Arnold was just killing all the cops. I mean, the way it was shot, the way this tone of this movie, and then it basically ends in a giant chase. You see the they go into like a factory, he gets blown up, but then the exoskeleton shows up, and then Sarah Connor crushes it. And that's pretty much the end of the movie, pretty much. Oh yeah, Kyle Reese dies. He sacrifices himself. So, yeah. Great movie. 10 out of 10. As always. Next up, we have the sequel, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, which came out pretty much like 7 years later. Came out in 1991, directed by James Cameron. In my opinion, the best Terminator movie. Some people a lot of people say this, but I'm going to be honest. I honestly think Terminator 2 was a step up from the first movie, you know. And I love the first movie, but I think the second one just amped it up so much. So in this one, it's reversed. They send two Terminators. They send a new, like, I guess, um, prototype called the T-1000, which is the liquid metal Terminator, played by Robert Patrick. Um, really cool character. I thought he was a great villain. And then you have Arnold. He comes back as the T-800, but this time the Resistance was able to switch his chip. So instead of him trying to kill John Connor, he has to protect John Connor. So he sends him to protect John Connor. Also, Sarah Connor is in a pretty much a mental hospital called Pescadero. She's played by Linda Hamilton comes back, and this time in this movie, Sarah Connor is pretty much militarized. Like she's like she's jacked. In the beginning of the movie, when you first see her, you see her doing like pull-ups on on a bed. Like she lopsides a bed and just does like gung ho push-ups and pull-ups. And then John Connor is like a teenager, and he living with foster parents. And basically the mall is where the Terminators attack, but Arnold and T-1000 have a battle, and they have a massive chase. The chase scenes are really good. You have good side characters like Dr. Silverman. He's a nice little antagonist to Sarah Connor. He's the guy who owns the facility, and he wouldn't like. There's this one scene where Sarah Connor pretty much says, "Oh, I don't believe that stuff anymore," and all that stuff. Because she wants to see her son, but he wouldn't let her. And the way this scene was done, he's a nice antagonistic character. Like he's nice, like. And then so John learns that he can pretty much tell the Terminator what to do, like give it orders, and you actually see them bond, and it's really cool. I like the way this was done. Like the bonding scenes between the Terminator and John Connor were done so well. Like he's like almost like a father, yeah, in a weird way, like a dad, you know. And so he takes John. They go to the Pescadero to pretty much break Sarah Connor out because the T-1000 is gonna go after her. So he does. In the one scene, you see like the security guard get like a coffee, and then the T-1000 comes out of the ground. That shit was sick. The way this movie was shot, like this came out in 1991, and the effects are so amazing. I would say better than most movies nowadays. Like the effects are amazing, and it rises up. It kills the security guard. Then Sarah Connor escapes herself, and then during the breakout, Arnold comes out and she's reminded of what happened, and then she realizes he came with John, so they escape, and then they learn about Miles Dyson, who pretty much has the old chip from the old Terminator, and then the arm that was left of the endoskeleton, and then I guess he's trying to make more, and he causes Judgment Day. So Sarah Connor goes off by herself, because I think there's a scene where she has a dream sequence, and you see her younger self with John, and then bam, the nuclear attack happened and all that. So she goes to Miles Dyson's house and basically tries to kill him. And then the scene when that happens, she pretty much comes in, and then she's like about to gun him down, and the kid's like right there. Her kid and his wife are like protecting him, and then she like has the pistol aimed at him, and she can't do it. I'm like, see, that's how you do a female character. In my opinion, Sarah Connor is one of the best female characters in movies, in cinematic history, like along with Ellen Ripley. But the progression she goes through, you know, I know I'm kind of shitting on Force Awakens here, but I'm just gonna say this. the way they did Rey is not how you do a female character. Just make her instantly good at everything. Really no progression. You look at Sarah Connor, she's not instantly like gung ho military. Even then, she still has faults. Like the scene where like she was gonna shoot Miles Dyson, she couldn't do it. And then John Connor and the Terminator show up, and like it's like that's progression. And then you see they plan to pretty much destroy all the information. So they go to the Miles Dyson's job, and they basically do that. But then the cops show up, so Arnold gets rid of him. He doesn't kill him because Arnold pretty much John told him not to kill anybody. The way everything was done was just in this movie was just great. The ending, when Arnold had to sacrifice himself in the end, that's how you do a movie. In my opinion, I think it should have ended there, and then the third movie, we actually could have just did the future. I honestly think that's what should have happened. They could have did like the future, like what they did with Salvation. They should have just did that in the third movie, because I honestly don't think you need to fucking you don't need. You don't, because honestly, Terminator 3 basically was the same movie as Terminator 2. The same idea. Okay, now, I guess since I'm talking about Terminator 3 now, Terminator 3 Judgment, Rise Against the Machines, came out in 2003, so like about 12 years later. 12 years later. What do I think of this movie? For the longest, I thought it was okay. And then, over the years, I kind of started to realize what it was. I don't hate it, I mean, it's bad. There are certain scenes I thought were cool, but I'm gonna be honest, guys, I don't like this movie. I've come to terms that this is a bad movie. It really is. My issues with this is basically, it's the same movie. It's the same movie as Terminator 2. You have Arnold come back as a good guy, and then there's an evil Terminator that's much more advanced. I mean, the only difference is, it's a chick. Which, I mean, I like the touch that it was a female Terminator. I kind of like the touch, but the scene where she, like, made her boobs big, I mean, okay, that was kind of funny, I guess, but just... John Connor's much older now. That's also the thing. He's an adult now. He's like, it looks like he's like 25, something like that. And then he's like just a kind of a guy who's, homeless, I guess is a word. You also have Claire Danes' character, which I don't really remember her name, but she's I'm gonna say Captain Brewster. Her dad's also in the military. And then her and John Connor meet. Then the TX, which is the female Terminator, attacks. And then Arnold comes and saves the day. I mean, and he has to protect them. And you find out Captain Brewster is... I'm going to look this movie up, because the plot... I haven't watched it recently, but this movie in my opinion, didn't need to be made. I mean, if you're going to do... I personally think a better Terminator 3 would have just been Salvation. If they had just did this in the third movie, I'd be okay with it, but the fact that... Her name's Kate. Oh, that's what her name was. Okay. And also you learn that Sarah Connor died because of pneumonia. The lamest... Honestly, the reason they did it, it's pretty much probably because Linda Hamilton probably didn't like the plot, so she probably decided not to come back. Oh, it turns out she's John Connor's wife. Or supposed to be John Connor's wife in the future. The way this movie was done, it made it seem like in the first two movies, that John Connor is the most important guy. He's the future, but apparently in this movie, it establishes, Kate Connor, or Kate Brute, whatever her fucking name is, this movie. Oh, God, this movie. looking at this. Yeah, yeah, this movie is just bad. I'm gonna be honest. This movie is just, it basically is just a carbon copy of Terminator 2 in a lot of ways. Like, out of 10, probably like a 3 or 4. I'll give it a 4. Terminator Salvation. I haven't watched this in a while. Came out 2009, starring Christian Bale and Bryce Dallas Howard. Um, um, this takes place in the future. John Connor is the leader. I thought the concept of is John Connor. I thought the concept of this was okay. The concept, like, I just feel like it was a little too late. And then they had CG Arnold in one scene, and then you had the guy who was in Avatar also played like a Terminator in this movie. Um, I mean, there was cool scenes in this movie. I don't think it was a terrible movie. I just think it's just forgettable. I think that was my problem with um, with Salvation, was it just felt it's a very forgettable movie. There really isn't much I can remember about it, you know? Like, I remember certain things, you know, like the scene with C.G. Arnold, which was done so terribly in this movie. It looked terrible. And some people say, oh, it looked bad in Genesis. No, I don't. I personally thought in Genesis it actually looked pretty good. You know, it didn't look that bad. C.G. Arnold actually looked pretty good. And this movie was just basically about the past. I thought the concept was good, but just the execution it's just a forgettable movie. It's not like a lot happened. And I love the Terminator franchise. Oh, really, the only real Terminator franchises to me are 1 and 2. And then I like Genesis. I don't. I'll add Genesis here. Genesis, I gave it like a 6.5. I think, yeah, some things were kind of confusing, but I think overall it was still a fun movie. It was cool seeing Arnold again. It was cool seeing him fight his older self, his younger self. I personally think it's still a decent movie. I don't think it's the best movie, but I think it's a decent movie. So that's my opinions on the Terminator movies, guys. Tomorrow I'm probably gonna do a video on Young Turks, another reaction to them for Friday nights. Every Friday I'll do a reaction video. So I think I'm gonna do one tomorrow night. I'm gonna review probably another Young Turks video. So other than that, guys, I'm gonna say peace, and I'll see you guys next time.